bit different for you today. Our main co-host Seth is sick right now, so please send him your prayers, and hopefully he can get back to lifting pretty soon. But for right now, we have Zac Edwards filling in, and he is a young, pretty new and upcoming lifter, and he's excited to be here. Aren't you, Zac?
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Sorry that you had to hear my voice instead of the honey style voice of Seth Gibson Todd. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm on the MSC powerlifting team with Altman and Seth, and we've had a great time, and I'm excited to be able to talk to someone else who's obviously doing collegiate powerlifting as well.
Yeah. So speaking of somebody that's doing collegiate powerlifting, we have Eddie Taylor from LSU Powerlifting. So Eddie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Living the life during the pandemic as best I can.
Yeah. So how has that lifting been while in the pandemic? Has it been kind of crazy, or has it just been pretty? You've been able to kind of maintain it.
It's been insane. There was I know when Corona first came out, I was scared because I didn't know what it was. I was I was thinking it's this deadly virus that was going to drop us like flies. And I mean, it did, just not in the way I was thinking. And so we were really taken kind of aback, and we stopped they shut down our gyms. They shut down everything in Louisiana. And then we kind of as the rapid test came out and we were able to get tested and make sure we were all negative and safe, we were kind of coming together as little pods, 2 or 3 people would go work out at a makeshift home gym. Very dangerous. Probably shouldn't have done it. We were just building things. None of us are engineering majors, so it was a bunch of business majors trying to figure stuff out. But I mean, we made it work over the summer. And then as the CDC learned more about coronavirus, and we learned more about how to protect ourselves, sanitizing, masks, what to do and not to do, social distancing, just all the basic stuff that's second nature now. As we learned how to do that, as things reopened, it became less impossible to lift and more just annoying. Because I mean, no one wants to say it, but it's true. It's annoying to lift with a mask. You ever try to brace with a mask on? I almost choke myself every single time.
Dude, it's awful. It's so constricting, man. It's terrible.
Oh yeah. So, you've obviously been able to lift a little bit during the pandemic, but has that affected any of your progress so far? Do you think you've gotten a little bit worse, or do you think you've kind of made more progress?
I think my body needed the rest.
Okay.
That I got, because I took about a month off whenever it first started. Took about a month off, and I got a nice, there's no lifting or nothing, just doom scrolling Twitter, looking at what's going on with the coronavirus, which wasn't good for my brain. But as far as my body not having, my normal loads on me was really good, and I came back refreshed. And I was just it's weird. Something like lifting, we take for granted, I mean. And, once it's taken away from you, you're oh man, I can't wait to get back in the gym.
Yeah.
And whenever I was able to come back, even if it was in our little makeshift gym that we made, it was still a blessing. And now I'm way more appreciative of lifting and just being able to go in there. And I used to think man, I can't afford to have bad days because, I want to be a world champion one day. And now I'm you know what, if I go in and my 211 feels like 400 pounds, hey, at least I still get to lift.
Oh yeah. You mentioned that you're off for about a month, and there's actually been research done that says if you have 4 to 6 weeks off, that can actually benefit you because you come back. You're not as strong, of course, right, but you are able to. When you get back, you're recovered. Your body's ready to go again. You can actually get stronger than where you were just 6 to 12 weeks later. Yeah. So it's crazy how it all kind of works. So your body actually needs that at some point. Yeah. I think it's actually a good thing.
How did you feel after that? What was it, month off? How did you feel after that?
I felt great. I felt just I was ready to go. My body I felt anytime I take a break from lifting, I feel soft. I don't know, that's the best way I can describe it. My body doesn't feel as hard and as battered as it normally is. And so I felt very limber. I felt like I could just do yoga or something like that. Powerlifting takes that away from me very quickly. I don't feel soft anymore, but I felt great. I'm starting to really, as I get more, I'm about to graduate from LSU in 2 semesters. So as I get more, I'm going to start working and stuff. And the industry I work in, there's a lot of running around, doing stuff. I'm going to probably need more months off, honestly, between meets.
Yeah. So right now your lifts are 325 squat, your best lifts, and this was at your world championships, right?
Yes.
Okay. So he's a world championship lifter guy, so he kind of knows what he's talking about. 325 squat, 220 bench, and 375 deadlift, all at 59 kg, correct?
Yes.
Awesome, man. So let's get into how you got to where you are, because when Seth came to me, he's like, "Hey, I want to have this guy Eddie Taylor on the podcast." I was like, "Okay, this guy is probably pretty big, pretty jacked, and knows how to lift some things." And I looked at you, I was like, "This kid's 59 kg." Like,
Yeah.
I was not expecting that at all. So how did you get into this?
Well, I grew up in Texas. Well, actually, I was born in Louisiana, and then Hurricane Katrina hit, so I moved to Texas with all the other evacuees. So I moved to this little town called LaPorte, Texas, and I quickly realized in Texas, to be considered a citizen, you have to play football. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, I guess I gotta play football. So I started playing football in middle school and got the absolute like I probably have CTE from all the shots I took. And I was like, man, I can't go through another season of this. But I love the game of football. Like right now I work in football. Like I love the game of football. Like I don't want to stop, playing. So I either need to get better or because I'm not quitting. So that's my only option is get better. So I was like, okay, I need to go in. And this is before, science was a thing to me. I didn't believe in like the whole world of like progressive overload, like calorie surpluses, like none of that existed to me. I was in middle school. I just thought I should go lift weights and then magic would happen. Fairies would appear and I would get big. So I went to go bench for the first, I'll never forget this. I went to go bench for the first time in 6th grade and I wasn't strong enough to bench the barbell. So they had to get like little 5-pound dumbbells for me to bench. And all the other kids were benching like the barbell or like 135 or whatever. And so then I was like, okay, well, I need to get good at lifting weights before I can get at football. And then when I get good at football, then I can be like a real Texas resident. So I got good at lifting weights and I got really good at lifting weights and it like followed me. And I was running track and playing other sports. They really encourage you to play as many sports as possible in Texas. And I think that's where a lot of my athletic background came from because I'm really, really like not opposed to doing different types of workouts. Like if for some reason my coach who got to shout out my coach, I love my coach. Her name's Alyssa Parton. She's the best coach ever. If my coach were to ever be like, Eddie, I want you to go do a 60-meter sprint, I wouldn't say no. I'd be like, why? But I wouldn't say no because I'm not opposed. I feel like the better athlete you are, the better powerlifter you are. That's just me. I mean, I know everyone has their own different ideologies, but
Okay, and that's a good segue to like what exactly does your training look like? Because I follow you, and then I also follow Hayden Willis, and then Julian Bonnell, two other LSU lifters. And how exactly is the environment down there when you guys get into the weight room and decide to start training together?
Well, before COVID hit, it was great. We all have our little reserved like area in our LSU gym, and it's just for us. Only like we can go in, and it's kilo calibrated plates and some kilo bumpers, and like we have everything we need, and it's just us. So it's like it's a little bit more fun when we get into meet prep, but like during the off season, it's still fun. Everyone's training is a little different. Ashton Barrett, he's the head coach of the Raw team. So he kind of writes like kind of a generalized program as people come in, as our freshmen come in or our new members come in, and he specializes it more as he gets to know them. But Alyssa writes my program, and I have the body of a lightweight, but I train like a super, and that's the only way I can tell you. Like, one of my best friends is Joe Pena, and me and Joe train almost exactly like
Wow.
I take minimal reps, I do minimal volume because like I just found that's what makes me respond better. And Alyssa's been kind of like Alyssa's very big on me doing volume, and we kind of found like a middle ground for us to both be happy. But I try to eat like a super and train like a super. And that's what my training looks like. I bench 3 days a week. Yes, no, sometimes depends. 2 or 3 days a week. I squat 2 days a week. I deadlift 2 days a week. I'm trying to talk her down to 1 day a week because man, that shit's exhausting. But yeah, I mean, I don't do anything crazy. I didn't try to reinvent the wheel. I just tried to find that what works best for me and what I enjoyed the most. And then I just went with that. And I've been powerlifting for 7 years now. So I just kind of learned through trial and error.
So when you say minimal reps, are you thinking like 3 to 5 reps, or like 1 to 2?
Uh, it, so the way my training works now is like, she'll program me a 5x5, but it's almost like my first real set is my last warm up. So I do 5, and then she goes up in percentage, and she goes up in percentage, and then I'll have like three top sets at like my max percentage.
Okay.
So really, it's like a 3x5, but it's actually a 5x5. I don't know what science, math stuff she did to come up with it, but I love it. I don't understand it, but I do it and I have fun.
Do you use any like auto regulation tools like RPE or reps in reserve or anything like that?
Oh yeah, we use RPE because a lot of times I'll like yesterday like I said the industry I work in sports event management, so I'm at like every sporting event uh so I could be working like I only might have to work 6 hours for a basketball game, or maybe one time we had a soccer game going to overtime and I was there for 12 hours. So and then I gotta go either go train right after or train the next day. So I'm gassed. So sometimes like the other day, Alyssa had me squat 211 just for whatever, like 5x5. And I shit you not, that 211 felt like 315. And so I immediately auto regulated down to like 185 or whatever. And one thing about me is I have no problem dropping the weight. In fact, it's harder for me to go up than it is for me to go down.
I
If
feel the
that
same way.
set does not feel like a 7, I'm not going.
Interesting. That's kind of how like Zach and I are getting ready for a meet now. It's in about 2 weeks, and we're both kind of feeling it now. I can't speak for Zach, but today was kind of just a bad day for me. I just feel tired and exhausted. And I think it's just time for that deload. And I'm using an RPE system now. I'm kind of getting new to it, and it's a lot easier to definitely auto regulate. And people can say, I've heard this talked about, that it's kind of like an easy system. Like you can kind of bitch out when you do it.
Yeah.
But I have had the opposite results. I'm getting great results, but it helps me whenever I don't get my rest or my food in.
Right. Yeah. Well, and like today, I can definitely attest to what Altman was saying, because I remember, today I walked in and I was like, okay, I'm gonna hit a squat PR. Like my brain was like, all right, I'm gonna hit a PR today. Like I'm 2 weeks out. I've been training for 5 months. I'm a newbie lifter. I'm only 19, so I was like, all right, I'm about to like go in and hit this. And I remember like I did not wait long enough at all between like my 370 and my 375 squat, and I went in and like I'm not gonna lie, like bar rolled forward, like lats were like getting fatigued mid squat, 375 felt like an RPE 1010. And it's interesting that you said, Eddie, about how you are really a high intensity guy like Pena is, because I'm the exact opposite. I work much better with volume, and you think because you're much stronger than me per pound of body weight for sure, because I'm like 200 or something, hitting around your numbers, and like literally I'm the exact opposite way of you. So it's super super interesting to kind of see that.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go on a tangent here, but I think clout's a drug, and everyone wants to lift like they see their favorite lifters on Instagram, and I simply just want to have fun. Like I used to want to like. It's weird because like pre-worlds Eddie and post-worlds Eddie are two different people. Like before I went to worlds, I saw red every time I went to the gym. I was like, I'm going to worlds, whatever I need to go to worlds. I don't care how it makes my body feel. I don't care if I'm not having fun. Like worlds, worlds, worlds. And now I've been to worlds. Like, do I want to be a world champion? Yes, obviously I want to go back and win. But like in our sport, like there is like nothing else I can really do. Like if I go on worlds, like I'm gonna get the satisfaction, but it's not like I'm gonna get like a cash payout or anything.
Yeah.
Like there's really nothing else for me to do. So now I'm like, all right, I've been there. Like I was there with Amanda Lawrence and Danny Mello and Maddie Forberg and Rena. Shout out Rena, I love you, Rena. And all the people like Russ, everyone, Sean,
Yeah.
but like
Were you
no point in doing this and like going.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
Wait,
off.
would you say you? No, you're good. You cut out. What'd you say?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you, when you said Rena, you mean Serena Abwe? Did you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah, dude,
I heard you.
she's a great lifter, bro. She's for sure.
She's hilarious. We talk kind of often. She's the greatest.
Yeah. What was the environment like at Worlds? That's something I was meaning to ask you.
At Worlds, it was a little weird because no one cared about my weight class, so no one was there. So it was like
Damn.
it was like Joe's mom, my friend Cole Metz, his mom was there, and then like my mom was watching from America, and like all my friends were watching back home, but like our Team USA coaches were there. But it was really just the competitors, the judges, and like minimal people. No one was really there. But then like the next couple of days, as the weight classes get bigger and bigger, more people trickle in. And then I was on the junior team, obviously. And then as the opens came in, the environment went from like little league football game to Super Bowl.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. However, nothing has ever topped the environment of Raw Nationals.
Really?
Wow.
That's
2019 Raw Nationals, when I went and won, and Russ won, and Joe won, and like we all won. Before social distancing was a thing, we could pack hotel ballrooms. Was the most hype meet ever in history. I don't want to hear any arguments about it.
That's interesting. Do you think that plays a big role in just how you lift during the meet?
Oh yeah, like I was in practice mode in Worlds because it was quiet. I could hear my own thoughts. I was just sitting down in a chair next to Honey, just like, yeah, I want to go up 5 kilos for my next attempt. Like I wasn't even like I could think. Like I am most dangerous when I'm not flustered. At Raw Nationals, I was flustered. Like there were so many people. Like they cared about every weight class at Raw Nationals. Like people were there for me, for the teens. Like they was yelling. People were like yelling slurs. Like things were going on. Like it was great. It was like a football game. It was great.
Jeez, that sounds intense. How did the travel affect you? Because at Worlds it was in Sweden, right? How did that travel affect you?
So everyone talks about travel fatigue and like all that. To be honest with you, I was 125 when I got on that plane, and I got off that plane at 120.
Okay.
I was water cutting throughout the entire flight. Travel fatigue is a mental thing. A lot of my like philosophies around training, especially with powerlifting, like I feel like 70% of it's mental. Yeah. Like if you can really master the mind game, you can take your lifting farther than you can, like you think you can. I mean, a lot of it is also genetics. Like obviously, like someone like Hayden, like my teammate Hayden, is a genetic freak, and the man maxes out after all his meets and then hits a PR after the meet, after he broke like his own PR.
Dude, Hayden is insane, man. He's a 820-pound puller at like 93 kg, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's like 12 years old.
Some people say he's 30 on King of the Lifts.
No, he's a freshman, or he's a sophomore now.
Sophomore? So he's only 19, 20 years old.
He's 19 or 20 years old, 93. Shout out to Hayden Willis, bro. Your training is intense. Like, dude, yeah. I would have loved, I'm so glad I got to ask you about his training because I've been following him for the last few months, and his deadlifts are just so crazy strong.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting show at Collegiates this year if we get to have it. I don't know what's going on with the world, but I don't know if anyone's even gonna show up. But luckily for me, it's in Baton Rouge up the street, so I'll be there. But
you mentioned like the mindset. Seth is gonna like this, but Jesus Oliveras, you probably seen him around, or do you know of him? Jesus talked a lot about that. He's like, maybe our bodies aren't meant to do this, but our mindset is just pushing us past those limits. I think that mindset is majority of just lifting and just I'd say a mindset is just majority of life. Yeah, so like the mindset you have can depict where you're going to be in a couple of years of just circumstances you get yourself into. So I think I agree with you. Mindset is definitely a massive thing.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I'm curious to know like what your mindset is like when you're around like. Because you said at Raw Nationals, it was like super, super crazy. Like intensity was at a 10, whatever. And Worlds, you were kind of just like sitting back eating a cupcake, just not even really caring. So like, what kind of goes through your head throughout a meet to stay diligent about all these big numbers that you have to hit and PRs that you have to break?
I actually practice mental skills pretty often. Like I said, I work in sports, so I'm really big on sports psychology, mental skills. Hannah, if you listen to this, Hannah Huseman, she's the mental skills coach for the Phillies. I subscribe to her Mental Sweat Monday and practice mental skills, and it's something that I do like every single day before I go into training. I go through my mental skills rundown of visualization. I visualize me doing every single exercise on the sheet. I go through like affirmations, and it's nothing crazy. It's like a whole of 3 minutes, but it's just like little things like that that kind of get me in the zone. And I follow a specific warm up routine, so my body knows, like, okay, like I listen to the same motivational speech for every single training session. It's only 2 minutes long, but it's whatever. So my brain knows, okay, we're going. I listen to the same thing, 3 songs as I'm warming up. So like my ears know we're going. And then like after that, it's like whatever, shuffle playlist. But just like that routine, that pattern, just like staying, like having a way to like turn your car on and get in that zone, I think is super important. And as long as you can master that, like once you're in your zone, no one can really take you out of it. Like I went to Raw Nats and I was so amped up because I was not ready for that environment, that on my first squat, I hit a 30-pound PR. And then I looked up and I saw 3 red lights. And I was like, what the hell? And my coach is like, you didn't listen for the start command. You just did it.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, wow, I should. And then at that moment, I was like, I need to calm down. And then everything else went fine after that.
Well, and a good preface for that is that, like you said before, I mean, you've been competing in this sport for 7 years, and even you got flustered enough to where you forgot your first squat command, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that anyone should like aim to be perfect and like never get flustered. Like, if for some reason I was to get a call tomorrow and be like, hey, Eddie, we need you to be on the open team for 59s and go up against Sergey, I'd be like, whew, I'd be flustered. But I mean, like, your aim is to be the best you can be, which is kind of a weird concept in powerlifting when the aim is to be actually the best person on the platform. But I just mean, like, it's just kind of with our sport and like social media, which I always love to talk about, like, it's just people want to be the best, like, lifter for like to be on King of the Lifts and to get all the sponsorships and like SBD, and like that's all great, but like at the end of the day, like I'm a realist. I'm a very realistic person. Like at the end of the day, the best thing you can do is be yourself. Like Hayden is stronger than me, pound for pound, tit for tat. Like if I go up to Hayden's weight class, Hayden will beat me. If Hayden comes down to if Hayden came down to my class, he would die. But you know, like I can be if I'm the best me and Hayden's the best Hayden, like it doesn't matter if Hayden's sponsored by SBD and no one ever, like I never get above 2,000 followers on Instagram. What matters is like we're both pushing our bodies to the limits. And I know y'all said that something about your mind goes farther than that, but I'm actually the reverse. I think our bodies can do a lot of things and our minds are like, what are you doing? You're an idiot. Stop. Like, I think our central, like, I always think about my CNS. Like when I squatted 315 for the first time, I put it on my back and my body was fine. Like my body held it. My hands held it. My legs held it. Like I was a little wobbly, but like my body held it. But my brain was like, holy shit, this is heavy. Like maybe we should re-rack this and rethink our career choice. Like, so that's why I'm really big on mindset, because my mind will try to talk me out of things, whether that be in lifting or school or mental health. Like my mind, you know, we're programmed to survive. Like we're animals. Like we just want to survive and eat and reproduce just like a lion or a whale. But like I want to lift heavy ass weights, and that doesn't go with my brain's, because you know, I'm one wrong day, a bench might fall on my chest and kill me. You know, my brain doesn't like that. So I think our bodies are fine as long as you take care of your body. It'll take care of you. I think the real war is inside your head.
Yeah, like if you listen to Eddie Hall when he did his when he first broke the 500 kilograms deadlift, he said that he had to get just mentally prepared for everything. Like he had to think about like lifting a car off his children or something like that. Like I don't think he would talk about the kind of emotional impact that he would have to go through just to lift that weight. So yeah, I agree that definitely if your body can handle more, but your brain is the thing that's shutting you down. Because we all get scared of weight sometimes. You just have to, it just depends on how you look at the weight and see if you can kind of convince your body to, or not convince your body, but convince your mind itself that I can lift this weight. It's no problem there.
Yeah, 100%.
I think some like good techniques for that too, like just maybe just picking up, like say you want to go for a 455 squat, maybe just putting 500 pounds on your back just to hold it, because you can probably hold it there, but just to get your body used to that weight, so you know, like, okay, I've held this for a while. Or like strongmen, they can carry yokes of like 1,000 pounds, and like squatting 800 pounds to them shouldn't be too, like walking out of the rack shouldn't be too hard, because they've walked 1,000 pounds 20 feet.
Yeah.
So that shouldn't be too bad. So I think there are ways to kind of push past that without kind of saying you're pushing past that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
What about you?
I know Jennifer Thompson. I worked a lot with her at Midland. Jennifer Thompson, she likes to do those heavy holds on bench, which horrify me. But she'll hold like 500 pounds or whatever. So whenever it's time for her to bench like 318 or however much she benches now, 400, however much, it's like a walk in the park because she's held 500.
Yep.
Dude, she's amazing, man. That's another incredible lifter. I mean, she's known for mainly her bench, because her bench, like you said, is around at least the low 300s by now. But her squats are great too, from what I understand. She's a great lifter.
Yeah, she's known for her bench, but I mean all around she's solid.
Yeah. So what? I guess delving more into your workout routine, because you said one thing that I picked up from how you talked about your workout routine in LSU is that you specifically work. It seems like you specifically work incredibly well with like monotony, right? Like you listen to the same 3 songs, you listen to the same 2-minute motivational speech, which I assume.
I eat the same 6 meals every day.
Same, how many? 6?
I eat the same 6 meals every day. Yes.
Wow, that's.
Wow.
Just out of curiosity, what's your caloric intake like, my guy? Like how
3,000
many
calories.
3,000?
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you want to move up a weight class soon, or no?
I want to move up 8 weight classes.
All right,
just
we gotta
conquer it all.
Yeah, we got to put like 5,000 calories on that plate then.
Dude, 6,000.
Gallon of milk a day.
7,500. Let's go.
I wanna be an 83 kg.
Really?
Sweet.
Wow.
Join us, brother.
I'm taller than Russ. Like I've met Russ a couple times in person. I'm taller than Russ, and I don't like the fact that Russ weighs more than me, because I'm taller than he is. So something's wrong.
You can't really I mean, like, I don't think most people can really compare themselves to him. You talked about genetic freaks earlier, man.
That's genetic freak.
He doesn't even make sense, dude. Like how big he is. Like I see him. Like if you ask someone who randomly on Instagram and you're like, hey, like how much does this big Jack guy weigh? And they would be like, oh, like 220, 230, maybe even some people would say 250. And then it's like, oh no, he like walks around 190, 195 and cuts down to 183. They're like, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm also taller than Hayden too. So I'm tired of being. I've been a 53 kg, and now I'm a 59 kg. I got tired of being a 53 kg because my body could handle it, and I'm really good at cutting. But I just didn't think it was healthy for me to be that small anymore, and I kind of stopped progressing on my lifts as much as I could. And I really want to not wear a small anymore. I would like to move up to a medium one day. So gotcha. I think the healthiest decision for me is to move up weight classes, which I'm going to do after this season, actually. This will be my first and last season at 59, and I'm going to move on up to the 66s and keep going until I max out, hopefully.
You know that, yeah. You know that's what Ed Cohen did. He didn't really like gain or lose weight. He just kept on gaining weight because he just got more muscle.
Yeah, there's also stories of Eddie literally like sleeping 12 to 15 hours a night. Like,
well, yeah, but still, he didn't like worry about cutting or anything. He just grew.
Right.
He just grew into the weight classes.
He went from like 181 to 242, right? Like he literally, he went across the board and dominated weight classes, just for forever.
Yeah, and he just kept on building, never stopped.
Never stopped grinding.
Yeah, the way I see it is, I could stay at 53, or no, really I can't because I'm about to be in the open, but I can stay at 59 and eventually get really good, go up against Charlie Yang, whatever, Cole, whoever's there, and then, maybe go tit for tat with them one day, who knows. Or I could move up, get my absolute ass whooped for like the next 4 years, get to smash, never go to the Arnold. And then when I'm finally in my nice weight class and I've been training for 4 years, doing what's best for my body, then I go to the Arnold win, maybe go to the Pro American, go to Worlds, who knows? I think with powerlifting, you have to play the long game. And I think the long game for me is not in 59 or 66. I think the long game for me is in 74. Actually, no, not 74. I'm taller than Taylor Atwood too. Is in like 83 or one of those. I probably will never be able to like gain enough weight to be a 93 without the use of steroids, and I'm not gonna do that. Right. So I mean, like realistically, probably 66 or 74 is the right weight class for me.
Are you thinking about competing against Taylor Atwood and Austin Perkins and all those guys someday?
Definitely not Taylor Atwood. Taylor Atwood needs to move up a weight class.
Oh wow.
Taylor Atwood. I think Taylor Atwood could run with the big dogs, and what I mean by that is the 83 kgs. So, because I mean, if he's 74 and putting up the numbers he is, if he like gained that weight and went up to 83, I'm not saying he would beat Russ, but I'm saying it would be interesting.
It would be very, very interesting.
And with that added weight, you can definitely when you gain this weight, you're gonna be surprised how much your strength goes up. Just gaining weight, because weight moves weight. Let's be honest.
Right.
That's the easiest way to start adding poundage to your total. Just gaining weight. Like that's just what I did. I've done for the past 3 years of college. Just kept on eating.
Yeah. Right.
And sometimes that's fun. Sometimes it sucks, but you just eat.
Sometimes you just have to stuff your face and see the scale go up, and that's usually for the people who are, and I bet you can relate to this. Like, that's usually for people who are leaner. Because I'm gonna be honest. Like when you said that, you eat 3,000 calories a day, 6 meals, I was like, wow, like that's insane. That's an insane caloric intake. With you remaining at that size. But what just out of curiosity, you've brought it up a few times. How tall are you?
I'm 5'7".
Wow. Okay. See, yeah, that makes sense then, because Russ is like 5'6" or 5'7", right?
Yeah, Russ is like 5'6".
Okay.
Yeah. What was it like meeting him too? I wanted to ask that.
When I first met him, it was at my second collegiate nationals in College Station, and I went up to him and I was like, this is like I watched all this man's YouTube videos. He's like my Tom Brady of lifting. So I go up to him and I'm like nervous. I'm fanboying, and we had walk-up music for that CNATS, and my walk-up song for my first squat was like the Naruto's theme song. Awesome. And I tap him on the shoulder, and I'm like, hey, can I get a picture with you? And he goes, hey, you're the one that walked up to Naruto, huh? And I was like, oh my God, he knows who I am.
That's pretty sick.
And you got the picture, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty cool, man. It's just, that must be an awesome, like, you're talking about the atmosphere, but just being around those people, that all of them have the same goal, just getting better, and they just want to be the best that they can be. I can't imagine what just being around them is like, not just the fans.
Yeah. Are you someone that, when you talk about going up to Russ and maybe going up to the people that you've competed against or competed with or however you want to say it, are you someone that usually kind of internalizes like your feelings when you're in a competition setting, or are you someone that's like kind of high energy, extroverted, like talkative and stuff like that?
I do not want to see anyone I compete with for the entire meet prep.
Really?
Oh, wow.
So
I went up against this guy named John in the World Championships. I muted him for the entire, we're friends. He's from Canada. He beat me at the World Championship. He got first and I got second. I muted him for the entire meet prep. I didn't want to see him because I try not to think about me versus him, but more like me versus me, because I can't do me versus him until we're in the same room on the same platform. So me versus him starts on meet day. As far as meet prep, it's me versus me.
So you just didn't compare yourself at all?
All I can do is prepare myself and get me ready to move the most weight I can. And then whenever we're in the same arena, we can then talk about attempt selection and jumping his thing, or, whatever we're going to do, calling bluffs.
Dude, that's interesting. I've never heard anybody doing that, especially a powerlifter.
Yeah, going the cold turkey route and kind of sacrificing, not sacrificing a friendship, but almost like saying, okay, we're going to put this on hold because this guy's, I'm competing against him. He's competing against me. I have to focus on my self-betterment, and we're about to go to war,
I just don't think, I don't think it's that hard of a concept. I guess because I played football my whole life. I had friends, I went to LaPorte High School, and I had friends that went to Deer Park, and we have the biggest rivalry in Texas. And whenever it was Deer Park week, it was Deer Park hate week. So for that week, we didn't talk to them. We didn't speak with them. We didn't associate. We didn't play Xbox together. We were on Friday night, we were going to try to kill each other on the field. And then on Saturday morning, whatever happened, we'd go back to playing Call of Duty together. It's a very simple concept for me to understand.
Interesting. Maybe a lot of people can take that from. I haven't done that. Maybe I should try that. I'll do that with you, Zach.
well, we're not really in the same
Yeah.
league, to be honest. You're kind of you got a good bit of experience on me, and but I can definitely understand the competitive mindset. I personally, I was never a super athlete in high school by any means, but I did do a few sports. I did do boxing. I did do football like you did. And I did do a few things to kind of get my brain into the competitive atmosphere. But I never, like Altman said, I had never really heard that extreme of a mentality. What exactly was it that encouraged you to do that? Like encouraged you to kind of be that cold turkey when it came to competition?
It was watching Naruto, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Naruto's super influential, huh?
Yeah, my number one favorite character on Naruto is Sasuke Uchiha. When he left his village in search of power, that's kind of like, I think about that a lot because I've never gone to college like in the state I live in, except for now in LSU. But I've always been like, okay, I need to leave, like go become a better person and come back with like the riches I've learned or earned or whatever. So like Sasuke like was willing to kill his own best friend to get like more power. And I just think about things like that, like when I'm training, or that's like the kind of images I put through my head when I'm about to do a heavy lift, like the sacrifices we make have like, it's really like the sacrifices we make are what make our like earnings. Like if I want to invest in a high risk stock, I'm probably going to get high rewards or I'm going to lose all my money. But that's if I invest in a CD, I'm going to get lower rewards, but I'm going to get my money back plus like 2%. So that's just how it is. Like if I'm about to pull, like my big goal, my big numbers are, and I know a lot of people are like scared to talk about their goals with powerlifting, which I don't understand. Like I would love for everyone listening to this podcast to DM me and say, hey, I heard you say you want to squat 400 or 400. Let us know when you do that. That'll put pressure on me to do it. So, pressure doesn't scare me. Pressure makes diamonds, and I would love to be a diamond. But
that is good.
That was sick, dude. That was a good way to put that. Dude, we could put that on a t-shirt.
Oh yeah,
we can put that.
Pressure makes diamonds, and I want to be a diamond.
And I want to be a diamond should go in the back.
Yes.
Yeah, that should be it. Dude,
that'd be sick.
Dude, speaking of diamonds, just so off topic, but did you see Dustin Poirier, the diamond? Did you see him knock out Conor McGregor last night?
Yeah, he's from 45 minutes away from me, Lafayette, Louisiana.
Lafayette, Louisiana. Yeah, that's why I brought that up. Dude, that was a crazy knockout. Did you ever try to get into any of those like martial arts or MMA, boxing, anything like that when you were growing up? Because I know you said you did football.
I really wanted to do boxing. There was just like in the town I was in, there was just like no like teacher or like coach that could have gotten us into that because I feel like it would have been super cool. Like wrestling, like I wish wrestling was a sport when I was in high school. I would have loved to do that. But as I kind of get older, I'm 23, I'm not old, but as I kind of like get more mature as an athlete and I realize that powerlifting is not life and like I can I learned a lot from Steffi Cohen. Like she is a great powerlifter, but she's also doing boxing and running or soccer, whatever she's doing. I don't know what she's doing, but she's doing everything. So I'm probably gonna like diverge into like boxing. Nothing too crazy. Probably just like maybe the light spar here and there. Nothing like crazy, but I definitely want to pick up boxing.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I like how you mentioned Steffi Cohen. She's just like an elite level athlete.
Another example of just genetic freak, absolute monster. She actually used to play professional soccer in Venezuela.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Of course she did. Like that's Steffi Cohen for you.
But she can do any sport she wants and be good at it.
Oh yeah, bodybuilding, soccer. Well, bodybuilding's not a sport, but bodybuilding.
I wouldn't say that. It's like saying powerlifting isn't a sport. A lot of people say, Eddie, do you think powerlifting is a sport? Or is it a hobby?
Yes.
Yeah, duh.
Of course it's a sport.
But some people would argue that it's not a sport.
Well, I would say...
Mainly because there are no winnings.
I would say bodybuilding is closer to WWE than it is football.
I don't think bodybuilding... Well, okay. If so I go to LSU. We have the best gymnastics team in the country. Mm-hmm. And I don't like gymnastics because I have a lot of friends on the gymnastics team too, so I'm very biased. But I don't like gymnastics because my friend can go and do a vault that is a 10, like a textbook 10, Like, and then she gets a 9925.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And bodybuilding is the same way. So I'm like, okay, what's the point of it being a sport? Like, if I catch a ball in the end zone, it's a touchdown no matter what, regardless of like flags or anything like that. So I just don't understand how I feel like some sports are closer to pageants than they are sports.
Gotcha. So you're kind of
And
saying
bodybuilding is one of those.
It's one.
yeah.
Well, let's be honest. Like bodybuilding, the winnings you get in that are insane. For
Right.
building your physique and spending hours of just eating and sleeping. So I pulled up the definition for sport.
Oh, of course you
So
did.
let's
Bodybuilder Altman wanting to justify his half sport.
An activity involving physical exertion and skill in which individual or team competes against another or others for entertainment. All right, so let's look at the informal. That's basically powerlifting and bodybuilding. So let's look at the second definition: a person who behaves in a good or specified way. Oh, this is just being your good sport. Okay. So by that definition, they're both sports.
Nah, I disagree.
I mean, I would argue that esports are closer to an actual sport than bodybuilding is.
That's it. Well, I mean,
Well, you
there is
have
a
to
little.
compete at all of them.
Okay, well, here's the reason why I'm kind of hard set on bodybuilding not being a sport, right? Because it's not. But let's go into like why it isn't, right? So the reason why I would say I understand what you were saying earlier, where it's so subjective to a point where it almost doesn't seem like it can be classified as a sport, because in a sense, like a sport has to almost be an objective measure of who's better and who's worse, right? Would you?
Right.
Would you? Okay, so the reason why I said that bodybuilding isn't necessarily a sport is because, and the reason why I brought up WWE is because in both pseudo sports, it's performers putting on an act for people who are spectating. So for me, it's more so like a movie, like a fictitious movie, than it is a sport. Versus in football, powerlifting, MMA, boxing, wrestling, like you brought up earlier, there's an aspect of performance. Also, the thing is too, a lot of bodybuilders don't exactly look athletic, right?
Well, that's not the point of bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is meant to who can be the biggest, most shredded guy on stage.
But athletics and sports are directly tied together, right?
Not by this definition. No,
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe Merriam-Webster's wrong. I don't know.
is it Merriam-Webster? It's Oxford. I think it's Oxford.
Oxford, bunch of
Oxford people.
Oxford people. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I just felt like getting at least one hot take in this podcast. I don't know. I thought it was.
I've heard like strength coaches talk about that. But what did you say, Eddie?
I was gonna say if I had to pick, I would go ahead and say bodybuilding is more of a pageant than a sport. But you can ask me any hot takes you want. I'll give you a quick answer. Don't worry.
Okay.
Zach's got
Okay.
this
I
going.
want one. Okay. How about this? On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being absent, 10 being extremely prevalent, how prevalent would you say the use of performance-enhancing drugs are at the top level in the IPF?
In the IPF, I'm like a 4.
So you think there are people using them? Okay, interesting.
See, the reason why I asked that is because there's a lot of things. One thing that Dylan and I always talk about is that Dylan's on the team with us. There's a difference between drug-free and drug-tested, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask that because you are someone who's been at the top level. I mean, you competed around Russell Orhe, and you obviously have incredibly talented lifters on your team. So I kind of wanted to get the inside perspective of kind of how prevalent it is, because Angelo Fortino is another guy who talks about it all the time, where like yes, the IPF and USAPL they're drug tested, but they're not drug free necessarily. So you even saying 4 out of 10 confirms to me that okay, there are some people at least at the top of the sport who are essentially cheating.
I mean, I don't know anyone, but also, like I said, I'm a realist.
Yeah.
I would be like lying if I told you I didn't think that there weren't at least 4 people doing it like at like any, meet. I just like, I'd be lying to you if I thought that they were all completely natty and didn't use anything.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like if you look at the top level of most sports, they're probably a lot of people are probably doing them. Like they got who's the big cycle guy that they all got?
The cycling guy?
Yeah,
Armstrong.
Armstrong,
Lance Armstrong.
Yeah,
Oh,
Lance Armstrong.
Lance
Yeah,
Armstrong.
like they busted him, but I guarantee majority of those other guys were absolutely on something.
Oh yeah,
And
100%.
he had to be a genetic freak just to be past them. But in order to get to their level and beat them,
Carl Lewis was a top level sprinter on the Olympic stage, and he did the same thing. It was popular even in baseball, a sport that you wouldn't necessarily think of as anabolic steroids being popular in, but Barry Bonds and there are many baseball players who did it. And actually, I've heard rumors that in baseball, the performance enhancing drugs that are actually the most popular now aren't even anabolic steroids. It's reactionary drugs that make your brain go faster.
oh, so
Yeah, like shooting balls and stuff. Baseball's crazy.
Yeah, baseball is dude.
interesting.
I hate baseball as a sport, just as a pure I hate watching it. It's like I would rather watch paint dry. It's disgusting. But at the same time, you got to respect the athleticism of those guys throwing 100, 105 mile per hour fastballs.
Yeah, no, I could not play baseball. There's absolutely no way in hell.
I'm just unathletic, so that makes sense. But
But it's
I would
Yeah.
teach you how to play baseball. I would.
but yeah, I do think there are definitely drugs at every single major sport level, even in the IPF, which drug tested.
yeah, drug tested,
Not
not necessarily
drug
drug free.
Yeah.
Because there are drugs like I've heard like test suspension can get out of your system in a week.
Or there might be new drugs that we just don't test for.
Yeah, I think Anavar can actually get out of your system in like 8
Really?
days.
Interesting.
Or at least that's what Louis Simmons said on a Joe Rogan podcast. So that's already like a really, really weird. It's like I heard Louis Simmons say that on like a Joe Rogan podcast. He was like, "Oh yeah, Anavar gets out of your system in 8 days," and I was like,
Well, I don't know. I haven't I haven't done the research on that one. So
Yeah,
I can't say anything.
What do you think about? That's a good thing. Good segue. What do you think about conjugate? Do you have any conjugate in your programming? Any sort of conjugate?
No, I think it's dumb.
Really? Okay, I want to get into
That's
this.
another hot take.
I'm a big conjugate guy. Like, I really love conjugate and everything like that. So why do you say that? What's your...
Just like I don't know any modern conjugate like methods, but I'm talking about like when I watch West Side versus the World, that's what I'm basing it on.
Okay.
And everything I saw in that documentary was horrifying and scary, and I wouldn't make it a day in that gym. And the chains, it just felt like they were all hitting like RPE 11 singles every day, and like none of it made any sense to me.
Yeah, so like West Side takes it to the extreme, like especially those guys back in the day. But okay, let's look at what conjugate is. It's a max effort method, dynamic effort method, and a repetition method all in one.
Right.
So
Repetition meaning hypertrophy, in case you guys didn't know.
Something like that. And dynamic mean with like they would use the chains or bands to do speed work, which is compensatory acceleration training, which is moving a lightweight fast, force equals mass.
You can tell Altman is very passionate about this.
So, but it was like the first program I've ever written. I've got the book up here.
I was on
Louis
that
has.
program. I was literally
you were on the
training.
program.
I was literally
But
training on the
I've
program.
got the book in my room that Louis Simmons has. So, like you were saying, like RP 11, yes, every 2 workouts a week, a lower body and upper body are hit a new single. That's their idea. Now, different people do different ways with that. It just depends on what you like, and like you said earlier, it's about finding what you enjoy and how you have fun with training, and just what you respond best to. Now, you're a very monotonous person, so someone like you can do the same thing over and over and over. It's kind of like Zach. Zach can do the same thing.
I bench, like going into kind of the monotony of like my training. I kind of bench like 4 sessions 5 times a week. So like in one day I'll bench twice, and then like every other preceding day I'll bench a few more times, and squat 3 times a week and deadlift twice a week. But my training is obviously not important because I don't compete at Worlds. But with that being said, there is to what you're saying, there is a difference between monotony and pushing your body to those extremes.
If you look at like people from West Side, they're very dopamine driven. They're adrenaline junkies. You probably saw that in the West Side versus the World. They want that new PR or on a lift that's not really as specific, but they can come in the next week and hit a new PR on a different lift, because if you hit the same lift 3 weeks in a row at 90% plus, you're gonna on that 4th week you're gonna have a drop in performance, because you're, like you mentioned earlier, you're big on CNS. The CNS is going to kind of drop off. You're not going to be able to perform because your CNS is fatigued for that movement, so you have to switch the movement to a different movement. So if you switch the movement every week, then you won't fatigue as much. So you can go, instead of 3 weeks, you can go 6 weeks by changing the lift up every single week.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of...
So what's your
Makes
opinion
sense.
on everything that Altman just said? Go. Give us your
hot
opinion.
take.
It made sense.
Yeah, and it's just another way to lift. Like,
I'm not gonna do it, but it makes sense.
yeah, well, there you go. But you found what works for you with your coach, and that's just about like I do like conjugate. It's just it keeps me training fun for me. I think that's a big part of it. Where powerlifting is a hobby. Like we're not majority of us aren't going to make massive amounts of money from this unless you're Ray Williams, Russell Orhe.
Oh, dude,
the best in the world.
Ray's another freak, dude.
Yeah, but
Ray's great.
Majority of us aren't going to make a lot of money from it. So yes, we do need to have fun with it, and that's kind of like the mental side, and just how you have fun with training can determine how you train.
Yeah, no, I'm never gonna like. I hate whenever people get on Instagram and like knock how people train. Like some people really enjoy doing box squats. Why I don't know, but they'll do their heavy box like overloaded box squats or whatever, and people like be in their comments like dogging them. I'm like, what does it matter? Like that has nothing to do with you.
Yeah, but it doesn't work for them. Yes.
Sometimes
Depends on the person.
See, here's the thing: is that I box squats are a weird thing for me. Where like it's almost like to me, box squats are almost like programming like board presses for like a raw lifter, like doing it for extended periods of time.
I like board presses.
I know you like them,
but because they work the top range of the motion.
They do, but why not just do spotos?
Because my bench is weak right at the top, so I need that board press to stop there, right here on the chest. I'm great, but right here, it's a different ball game, and that two board makes it to where I have to pause there.
I guess we can agree to disagree because I don't necessarily think that board presses are. They don't seem to me to be as important as just normal bench presses. But what you've competed both single ply and raw, right, Eddie?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay, so let's. I would like to delve a little bit into the differences between those, and specifically in like the competitive environment. Because have you been to Worlds with both, or just Worlds once raw?
No, I've only been to Raw Worlds. I've only actually done like 7 equip meets, and most of them were in high school. And my like collegiate equip meets were all horrible, and we don't speak of those things.
Okay, so how exactly was it that you kind of okay? Well, which did you get into first? Like, did you get into single ply first? Did you get into raw? Like, why exactly did you get into?
I was in single ply first.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And like obviously, you know, like we've talked about it a few times, especially with Seth being on the podcast, where he's a single ply lifter, where 70% of your training as a single ply lifter is going to be raw anyway.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, it should be, or else because that 30% is so unbelievably taxing. But I think that's a good segue to like, is intensity necessarily the primary driver of overall success in powerlifting? Should you go intense that often?
What are we talking about?
Don't have a real answer for you, to be honest with you. I feel like that's something you should ask like someone that, to be honest with you, I tell people this all the time because they always ask me powerlifting questions. Like, I don't care. Like, to be honest with you, like I leave the science up to Alyssa, my coach, and I just show up for duty and lift the weights and make the calls and, you know, eat the food.
Yeah.
I let her figure that out. I give her Eddie suggestions based on what Eddie needs, but as far as like the science, she has like 7 degrees. She handles that. I'm just a good athlete that shows up.
Gotcha.
Cool. So you give her the Eddie. I like that.
I give her the. What'd you say? I give her the what Eddie needs.
Eddie needs.
Yeah, I give her what Eddie needs, and she gives me the rest.
Well, I just was. I guess I kind of went on a tangent there about like intensity, just because like I think it's interesting the difference in like intensity between equipped training versus raw training, because the natural intensity that you can push yourself to in raw training is only 100%. In equipped, you're dealing with stuff that's so much higher than your actual raw numbers that it almost, for me, I've never been in equipment besides like one time in reps. You know, I'm not experienced in it, but watching Seth and Dylan and like guys like Bryce Krawcheck and Austin Perkins do those kinds of things, it's almost interesting to see like how the mindset changes when you're dealing with 110, 120% of your raw max.
Yeah.
Getting an equipment though, and he can attest to this. Getting an equipment, it's definitely a really different mindset because so when you unrack a raw squat, you feel it on your lats and your back, and you walk back, you get that little leg wobble thingy, and then you like get settled and you go down, and you come back up, you either miss it or you don't. When you do an equipped squat, you get wrapped, and you're getting wrapped, you're in pain, and then you get your other one wrapped, you're in pain, you lose circulation to your leg, then you do that weird penguin waddle up to the platform, and then you have to get like settled under the bar you're still in pain. You're never not in pain during all this, and you have to fight off the pain. You have to get set, like, and the room for error in raw is like 10. Like if I make a 9% mistake, I can like kind of shift my bones or my belt or my hips to fix it. But like the room for error in equipment is 0. If I move wrong, I'm dead. Like I'm gonna fall. But so yeah, I think people that are good equip lifters are amazing lifters and here's a hot take here. Way more technically sound than raw lifters because
I think you'd have to. Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
I mean, you see, like I'm a big Bryce Crosscheck fan. Bruce Crawfish, like he's one of my favorites. And like the reason why I am is because when you look at both his raw and his equip training, he's so technically proficient in everything. Like bench press, squat, deadlift. He makes fun of his own bench press all the time. Like, oh, I'm weak because I can only single ply bench 562 or something. He's still incredibly strong, but like I remember one of the funniest things in training recently that I saw was Altman getting in reps. It was one of the funniest things because like the first rep, like you kind of, I don't know.
I did something completely different than I'm on my normal squat.
Yeah, I think you were trying to like push the knee movement a little bit too much.
I was trying to sit back more.
Oh, sit back more.
Yeah, instead of just doing regular squat.
But then you like came back and blasted through the other 2 reps like it was nothing.
Yeah, it was easy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it looked super easy. How was your first few times getting in equipment, Eddie?
I cried like a little baby.
Dude, it does. Man. It is very, especially at the bottom. Like when I haven't been in a suit. I can't speak on that part. But with the wraps at the bottom, like yeah, it is kind of painful on the knees, at the back of the knee.
Yeah, for sure.
So. But Austin Parkins is equipped lifter.
Austin is an equipped lifter.
And he's a very strong raw lifter,
and
too.
And he's gonna, I believe, man, look, when he said on the podcast that he was gonna hit, 2,000 pound total?
I believe him.
I believe it. The man's mindset is, I've never personally talked to him like you guys did.
He's very confident.
He's so confident. And I think that speaks volumes to, like, his type of training routine where, I mean, you see his squats and you see, like, him, one of the funniest things about him to me when I watch his videos is like his head is just like literally cocked down to the floor, and
it's interesting.
And he's just thinking so hard about bracing. You can see it in his mentality and in his execution, and he gets down in the hole, and when he comes up, you're like, dude, that was like easy, but it was because he made it easy. It's because he bent the bar to his own will, almost like. He was a barbell bender, basically.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's so interesting. And the reason why I bring him up, too, is because he's, again, been proficient in raw and in equipped. And like you said, Eddie, people who get in equipment, I really do think, I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I know it's a hot take, but I agree that equipped lifters are more often than not more technically proficient than raw lifters, coming from a raw lifter.
Yeah, well, they have to be because your equipment, it's a lot different animal than raw. If you look at like Julius Maddox isn't the most technically sound person in the world. He's just a strong.
Don't talk crap about Julius Maddox.
Like even his coach says the same thing. Like if you want to be a strong raw lifter, you need to be strong.
Yeah,
right. Sure, technique is going to play a role, but if you're strong, you're going to go pretty far. But that technique is going to be that fine little detail there. So yeah, but this has been a lot of information,
dude. It's been a lot.
It's been a good time, Eddie. We want to thank you for coming on.
I had fun.
Yeah, any last words or anything you want to say?
Yes. Okay, last word. So this has been fun. I'm Eddie. Remember, powerlifting is fun. Please just train to have fun. Follow me on Instagram at the Eddie Black, and I hope we can all get back to some normalcy soon, and I can see all that raw nats and C nats, and we can all get back to hitting PRs. And most importantly, hopefully one day I'll be an 83 kg.
Gotcha.
We will see you there.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, if you ever want to check out my content on Instagram, it's Zac64_. I know it's, like I said, a little bit weird to not hear Seth's velvety voice on this podcast, but he's gonna be back next week. Don't throw a tantrum.
Shout out to Seth.
Shout out to Seth, man. Shout out to Seth. Altman, what about you?
So guys, like always, you can find me at Big Strength, and you can find the podcast at triple.b.podcast. We are on YouTube. Well, if you're listening to this, you're listening to this to one of our 3 platforms: YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. So be sure, if your friends are trying to look for it, be sure to tell them that we are on all the what are they called?
The listening platforms?
Yeah, we're all
there
all the
you
listening
go.
platforms.
Altman can
All
be
the
a little
mediums.
slow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all
on
the-
the mediums.
all the
There you go.
mediums.
Not the largest,
So-
not the smalls. On the
Yep.
mediums.
So, guys, we want to thank you for listening. We've had a great episode here. Take this information, use it, become the best version of yourself, and we'll see you guys next week.